serial port settings. Dan, would you do this?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Okay. Number 10 on the configuration option is serial port settings. And the best way to explain this, I guess, is probably to talk about previous versions of the iStep software. When the original iStep came out, it connected to the computer with a serial port or COM port. And you needed to set in the software the particular port that you were setting the iStep to. Now with the SP5000, the SP5000 connects with a USB port. And we need to go into the software and make sure that the software is set to be able to interpret that USB connection. It looks for a virtual serial port. And previous versions of the SP5000 software connected, you had to load the drivers for the USB and then set the proper serial port. In version 6.0, we have an auto detect feature. First, when the software installs, the drivers for the USB for the plate are automatically loaded in the software. And then the software will automatically detect which serial port that's coming up on and set the software itself. So in this case, it automatically sets it to serial port 6. The auto detect is on. Now, I'm trying to think, examples of when you may have to set it manually might be if you had multiple USB devices connected to the computer that use the same driver set as the SP5000. In that case, if it's having trouble identifying the correct serial port, you might have to set it manually. And in that case, you would go out to Windows, open Windows Device Manager, and find the correct serial port. And then you could use the drop-down menu and choose the correct serial port. The other thing in the serial port section is the iStep calibration, and that's a weight calibration. In this particular case, you would stand on the plate, enter your weight in pounds, and click on calibrate. And what that does is it adjusts the way that the sensors pick up the pressure based on this particular weight. So if you set it at 150 pounds and you stand on it, it would know, okay, that's how it reads it at 150 pounds. So if somebody steps on it that's 120 pounds, it would know, it would recognize what to do at 120. Or if then somebody stood on it that weighed 180 pounds, it would know how to interpret it based on 180 pounds. And those are the features that are in serial port settings on version 6.0. And that concludes the configuration menu options.
All right. Okay, guys. Now we finished configuration, and we're going to talk a little bit about marketing in the marketing section. Really, before we do, and this is marketing related, I want to point out an important feature that is often missed, and that's this tiny little number here. That's the counter for the system. And if you're a store owner watching this, or whoever you are, if you care about the success of the system, monitor the counter and make sure that this is being used. And very often the store will invest in this technology, and the only time it's unsuccessful is if they don't use it. So to sell Linkos, and again, a big portion of this is people want the add-on sales of Linkos. Not only is it add-on sales, additional revenue that doesn't take away any of your shoe revenue for your store, but it also is a way to really provide a unique, satisfying experience for your customers. Linko is a great product, and with this system, if done right, you can make a lot of people feel good on their feet by selling a lot of the Linko orthotics. To be successful, though, there's two things that you need to know. And this is kind of the golden rule at Aetrex with iStep. And that is, the system is you put the customer on the machine, everybody gets tested. And to do that, to ensure that your staff uses it, I encourage you to move the Brannock devices to the back of the store. Keep it in the back room. But everybody gets a test. Remember, it's 10 seconds. And then you don't ask the customer, would you like to try the orthotics? You bring the orthotics out with the shoes. That's the name of the game. Now, obviously, you have to ask if they want to purchase the orthotics. But by bringing it out with the shoes, your customer will place on their shoes with typically one shoe with the orthotic, the Linko inside, and the other shoe without it. And just from that little experience of walking one with an orthotic, one without, most people will immediately want to buy the orthotic. So again, the golden rule for an iStep customer, everybody gets a test because again, you've invested in this. And if you're not doing that, you're missing the chance to have a unique opportunity for unique experience for your customers. So everybody goes on the machine, and then the orthotics come out with the shoes, the Linkos. You don't say, would you like to try it? You bring them out when you go bring out the shoes. Make sense?
Yes.
All right? In fact, if you guys are going to remember only one thing from today's training, that would be the one I'd want it to be. It's the most important part. Any questions on that? Any comments? Okay. Let's get into the software, the marketing section.